David Fischer for coming today. The nice thing is, the bad thing is, we don't have a big crowd, probably because of vacation week, but the good thing is, we're being filmed by TCTV so that anyone will be able to watch this presentation on demand through our educational cable channel. So you could tell anyone, and our group, the Trouble group, sees the schedule, so they'll know that it's on. But if you are outside of the town, you could access it through the town's website. There's a link directly to all the programs that are on the cable, so you could see it. So I'll let David start, and thank you so much.
Great. Thank you, Jackie, for having us, and the Trumbull Library. Thank you for shooting here, and welcome to the power of the inbox and how could we get email marketing to work well. So, what is email marketing, right? So that's a question that, it sounds easy to answer, but it really is made up of 4 different things. So email marketing is delivering professional email communications to an interested audience that has information they find of value that looks great on any inbox. Okay, so those are the 4 components that define email marketing, and if any one of those is missing, you're not meeting email marketing best practices. Okay, and here's just a graphical example of the types of emails that we'll be talking about tonight. So in other words, you want to stay in front of people who know your name in a way that positions you as an expert. Right? Because you need to think that nobody wakes up every morning thinking about your nonprofit, your company, your organization. So your role is to remind the market that you exist. And the example I can give you is McDonald's, right? So everybody knows about McDonald's. So why does McDonald's advertise so much? Because if they didn't, their competition would advertise and promote their name, Burger King and Wendy's, for example, and eat McDonald's lunch, pun intended, right? So your role, particularly as a small business or a small organization, is to consistently remind people that you exist, because otherwise they will not think about you. And you need to do it in a way that presents value. It could be in the form of information or coupons, and we'll talk about that shortly, but there needs to be value in your communication because that's what attracts attention in the market. Why does email marketing work? Because it drives revenue and profit. That's frankly the bottom line of for-profit businesses, but also generating revenue is important for nonprofits as well. It increases awareness. I work with a lot of small businesses who offer several services or products, and invariably the customers say, oh, I didn't know you offered that product or that service, or you have this other part of a nonprofit. So making them aware of other things that you can do for them is obviously very important. And repeat business. So a lot of customers, a lot of our clients say, oh, I have a client, and I'm working with them, but just because they bought from you once or made a donation once doesn't mean you need to remind them again to purchase again and remind them to make a donation again. And this is an easy way to do that. Reminding people that you exist and the value that you contribute to their organization. So, let's harness the power of the inbox, right? My role here this evening is to educate. Your role here is to take some action, right? With the goal of learning, because if you learn something and you don't take any action after it, it kind of is for naught, for no purpose, right? And I would not be a good marketer if there wasn't a special offer at the end, okay? Also, this is a presentation, but it's not a monologue. So stop me, interrupt me, ask questions. It's a small group, so it's very easy to do that. Just makes it more engaging both for you and for me. So we spoke about what is email marketing and how to harness the power of the inbox, and these are the things that we're going to talk about, right? All components of developing a successful email marketing program, and then ultimately how to put it together. So this is very practical, hands-on advice on how to develop a marketing campaign. So why email marketing? So what's the #1 app on smartphones worldwide? Bingo, very good, exactly. Email. That's what everybody is looking at virtually all day long, right? And 91% of people check their email daily. Most people check their phone all the time, right? The deliverability is very important. It's over 90% of emails actually get delivered. And I have this comment here about Facebook reach only 2% of fans. Because I speak with small organizations and they say, oh, we have a Facebook presence. That's fine, but keep in mind that less than 5% of your fans actually see whatever you post on your Facebook page, right? Nothing beats this type of deliverability. Two very, very different products. It works everywhere. It's very rare today to be in a place where there's absolutely no signal if you're on a phone, for example. And the conversion rate, meaning the percentage of people who take action, and every email should have a call to action, the percentage of people who take action is 3 times higher than social media. And email marketing has the highest return on investment of any marketing tool out there, with $44 of sales for every dollar that's invested in it. Hardly any tool comes close to that return on investment. That's why email marketing works so well and has so many companies doing it. And the best example I can give you of why it works is look at your inbox. If you see organizations using email over and over, or any other marketing tool that's being repeated, it means it works, right? So the fact that your inbox has email in it very regularly from all different organizations means that it works. If it didn't work, companies would stop using it. So who's this guy here talking about email marketing? So my name is David Fischer. I'm the owner of a company called Solutions for Growth. We're a local marketing agency, and I've been doing marketing for 25 years with all different companies, whether it's from Citibank or the US Tennis Association. And Solutions for Growth is 8 years old. We're a team of 8 people, and all we do all day long is create marketing tools for small organizations. So whether it's developing or managing websites, of course doing email marketing, we manage social media, we do a lot of work with graphic design and printed material, Google AdWords, search engine optimization, all the various tools that an organization needs to let the world know that they're great. Because without marketing, nothing happens. You could have the best organization in the world, the best product, the best service, but if the world doesn't know about it, you're not going to sell it, right? So marketing is crucial to raise your profile in the market. Some time ago, I was talking with a client who was very pleased with our services, and he said, you guys are great. You really deliver Madison Avenue quality at Main Street prices. So I asked him if I could use that, and he said yes, so that's why it appears here. And it's actually true. Because of how we're structured, we are very competitive in our pricing, and I think we do a pretty good job with delivering the marketing tools for our clients. In addition, we're closely affiliated with Constant Contact. I'm a master certified solution provider of theirs. That's a lot of words to say that we do a lot of work with Constant Contact, and we've won awards for the results that we've gotten for our clients. And I do a lot of public speaking throughout the area about all issues regarding marketing for small businesses. What is this on the left? It's a list of email addresses, right? It's an email list. So you have to think of an email list as something that is an asset of the organization that can drive revenue. So every organization has an email list, or if they don't, you should have an email list. And you need to think of it as a driver of revenue or donations. Because anytime you use your email list and you send an email message, what that does is it generates revenue. If you just have an email list and you're not using it, you're not communicating with these people to drive revenue. Why is the ROI so great? Because, for example, you can have a Constant Contact account that starts at $20 a month. There's no other marketing tool where you're investing $20 and allows you to generate emails that create revenue for your company. It's a very smart approach. If you're not doing email marketing, you're leaving money on the table, because it's a smart way to market to people who know about you and you're reminding them about your existence. So here's a sample email. How do you think they did? Is that a good email? Why not?
Too much information.
What else?
Too many pictures. I don't know what I can't read it, but I don't know what they're selling.
Right, there's too much going on. People's attention span online is very, very short, right? So if you receive a message like this one, 2 columns, which first of all is not mobile friendly, packed with information, the eye is going to blur over. It says, I don't have the time for this, way too complicated, let me, pass on this, right? So first impressions really matter. Do you want to appear in your inbox like a wilted flower, or something that looks a little better like that, right? So that's what we're going to talk about now, how to create that ideal first impression. You want to be on the right, not on the left. So this ties into an explanation of what is email marketing. And so often in talking with a business, they say, oh, I use Outlook, I send emails, or I use Gmail or AOL or Hotmail, any one of those. We're talking about email marketing like that, not like this. The issue with something like this is that it looks like an email, and it's a routine email, and there's nothing wrong with it. But if you're issuing email for marketing purposes and your goal is to impress the market and get them to take action, you need to do something like that on your right. Why? Because the issue with this type of an email, first of all, it's not marketing, but it's those things. You cannot send to a large number of people. You have no control over the formatting. There are no pictures, right? It's more susceptible to filters ending up in spam or junk folders. There's no branding. There's no logo here. There's no color. There are no pictures, right? It does not follow what the government has is something called the Can-Spam Compliance Act. It's a federal rule that governs how email marketing gets done. And if you're just sending this as email campaigns, you're not following the law. For example, you need an address, you need to have an unsubscribe link, and so on. When you're using an email service provider, whether it's Constant Contact or anyone else, you are then following the law. And there's no reporting. So one of the nice things about email marketing, or any marketing that you do online, is that it's very measurable. And anytime you do marketing, you need to be able to measure the performance of your marketing. Otherwise, you have no idea if the time, effort, and money that you're putting into marketing is working. And with email marketing, I'll show you later, you get reports that shows how it works, how it performs, and whether the time, effort, and money you're putting into it really is paying off. Constant Contact, for example, will automatically do those things, okay? Now, as a marketing agency, we have a full-service email marketing program where we do all of this for our clients, because many of them see the value in having a Constant Contact account, but they don't have the time or the desire or the skill to put all this together. So that's where we come in and we manage the campaigns for our clients to create these types of emails that have a wow factor when people see it in their inbox. And this is just a tease that there's something coming up. So one of the things you need for email marketing is an email list. Right? Without an email list, you can't be doing email marketing. So it's all about asking people to sign up for your email newsletter. And as long as you tell them what to expect, for example, you will get once a month an email on, let's say, chairs, if you are a chair manufacturer, on chairs, okay? So for example, for those of you who came in just a few minutes ago, on the table behind you, there's a sign-in sheet. And it offers you a once-a-month email on a subject that is of interest of small organizations, whether it's for-profit or non-for-profit. So if you want to sign in on the back, you're welcome to do that. If you don't ask, you don't get. You don't have to do it, but we are giving you something of value, a well-crafted email newsletter in return for your email address. Here are some other places where you can ask for an email address. Join our email list on your Facebook page or on your website, right? That leads to a form that the person completes. When the form is completed, that is added to your email account. And you get a welcome email like that. Pretty straightforward. It's important that you turn your website into what I call a lead acquisition tool. Make sure your website is not just an online brochure, but something that is able to capture people's information so that you can communicate with them. After all, marketing is communication, so each email address has value behind it. Where else? At events, when you meet with people, you can use a QR code, which is a two-dimensional barcode that can be scanned, and when it's scanned with a phone, on the phone a little form appears or the person can enter the email address. That's great for trade shows, for example. What about a sidewalk sign? So there's technology where you can text a certain keyword to a cell phone number, and it grabs your email address, a smart way of collecting that. And this is for a hair salon where you get $10 off when you provide their email address. Smart, right? You're giving something of value, your email address. In return, you get $10 off. What about a simple form? You've all been places where there's a form and they're asking you for your email address, right? Good old-fashioned fishbowl or a raffle, right? Just ask. And as long as you're a legitimate organization, you give the people the option to unsubscribe, and you're delivering value in your emails, people will share their email address with you. Any questions until now? Give them a reason to join your list, right? What reasons can you give them? Education, right? What about a VIP preference? Sign up and get access to something special. Insider news that nobody else has. An ebook, a white paper. People are always hungry for information. And by the way, something like this presents you as an expert because you're giving them 5 things you need to know before, like the example of the chairs, right? Let's say you're chair manufacturers. 5 things you need to know before you buy chairs for a library. So if the library was in the market for that, that would be a piece of information they would really want. So the representative of the library would give their email address in return for 5 things you need to know before you buy chairs for a library. Discounts. Everybody loves a coupon or a discount. So these are just some examples of things that you can offer in return for an email address. Remember, give them a reason. Just saying sign up is a little weak. What am I signing up for? So give them a reason to do that. The number one reason people unsubscribe from emails is that the content is not relevant to them. So as long as you give them good content on a regular basis, they will look forward to receiving your emails. So now we talk about content. So you have the email list, you have an account with Constant Contact or the email service provider. Now you have to put something in those emails, right? It's all about your reader. It's not about you. So what is relevant to them? What is of interest to them, right? How much information should you put there? Should you put something very long, very short? Turn questions into content, and I'll show you some examples in just a moment. And the images are an important component too, because images are the eye candy that slows people down online. Think of when you're going on social media. Your eye generally skips from picture to picture. And the picture, if it's interesting and engaging, will slow you down and make you look at the post. Same idea on a website or an email newsletter. So let's say that this is your market, okay? People who love dogs, right? And you are a company that offers a dog camp, and you're sending out an email. And this is a very basic email, but it really meets best practices. Why? It's fully branded. Right away at the top, I see this is from Camp Unleashed. I know who it's coming from. It's no secret. Want to put a smile like this on your dog? So if you're a dog lover and you see that picture of that dog, emotionally you react to it. It almost looks like the dog is smiling. She has like a red bandana. It's cute. It slows you down. It makes your mind think, oh, tell me more. Very simple headline, last chance to sign up for the camp in the Berkshires, right? So it's telling you what it's about. 2 short paragraphs about how your dog is going to love that camp, and the call to action is visit our website for more details. It continues a little bit more information. But here, within about 5 to 7 seconds, above the fold, it tells you everything you need to know. Think of the email I showed you earlier that looked like, a 5-page document, right? Just as effective. Just so in an email message, more is not necessarily better. I was talking about turning questions into content. So every organization has a series of questions that are asked almost every day by your donors or by your customers, right? So let's say that these are the questions. How do I make sure my kid has a great first day, if it's at a school, for example, or a kid's class organization? Can I deduct the mileage I drive for volunteering for a CPA firm? Or how do I get more people to attend my events? These are questions that you get regularly and turn them into content. See that? 5 ways to ensure your child has a great first day. So if you're a parent and it's the first time your kid is going to that school, you would want to know that information. Top 3 mileage deduction questions answered for you, right? So think about your organization and how would you turn questions that you get on a regular basis into great content that people are interested in. Pictures, okay? So this is a silly slide, but you'll get the point. Most people like chocolate. So if you see a picture of chocolate, subconsciously you're going to say, that's good, right? Same idea with the dog that I showed you earlier. What resonates with people? What makes them interested in what you want to talk about? So working with pictures is very important, and here's some concepts about it. First of all, make sure it's the right size. You don't want a little thumbnail that people can't see, but yet you also don't want this huge picture that overwhelms the overall look of the email. Avoid copyright issues. This is a growing issue because the easiest thing to do if you need a picture of a tree is to go to Google and type in tree and images and just take a beautiful picture of a tree. Don't do that because most of those beautiful pictures are copyrighted. And the image companies like Getty, for example, have developed a whole side business that crawls the internet and looks for their pictures. And if the web address that that picture is affiliated with is not a client of theirs, you're going to get an email from them saying, "Dear person, you're using one of our pictures. Please show us proof of purchase." And if you don't have proof of purchase, you're going to get a letter from their attorney asking you for a lot of money. It's a huge issue. And more small businesses are getting caught with that. So you either need to be a customer of a company like Getty, and there's a whole bunch of organizations that sell pictures, or use your own pictures. Sometimes it's even better to use your own pictures. It might not be professional or perfect, but that adds a little bit of reality to the organization, who you are. It makes you more approachable, more human, if you will. So it's not this beautiful picture of, stock photography of beautiful people, but regular people, right? And that's sometimes more effective than pictures that are coming off the internet, right? And find stock images. Stock images, some are really great. And spending the $10 or $12 on a picture might be a good idea. These are websites, though, where you can also get free pictures. They obviously don't have the type of inventory like that iStockPhoto or Getty Images has, but clearly they're available there. Sometimes you have to give attribution, sometimes you don't. But the bottom line of this slide is don't just go on Google and grab a picture of a tree, because that will get you in trouble. Any questions on this until now? Okay. So you want to communicate through content. We've spoken about pictures and text. You want to make sure that anything that you put, particularly pictures, is clickable. People, if they're interested in something, will likely click on a picture, so make sure it links to something like your website, right? You want to put your key action, what you want people to do, above the scroll line. You can still repeat it further down, but it's very clear then to people what you want them to do. And don't create too many choices. So we work with a florist, and for quite a while we were presenting bouquets in the email, and it was always 6 bouquets, 2, 2, and 2. And after a while we said, let's do a test, and we ran it with 2 bouquets, and it did really much better. Why? Because this was either, I think it was Mother's Day or something like that, and if you're presented with 6 bouquets, it's like, does she want the purple one, the green one, the big one, the little one? And on the consumer level, when there are too many choices, the best and easiest thing to do is no choice. So then we ran the same email with 2 bouquets, a red one and a white one, much easier choice, and that performed much better. So if you're presenting products or services in your emails, simple is easier and better. Now let's talk about design, okay? Because you want to make sure that you come across professionally and well designed. So this is a nonprofit organization. It's called Strong Women and Strong Girl. And what they do is that they're very consistent with their design and look and feel anywhere they are, whether it's their website, their Facebook page, their email. So that there's certainly their logo, their font, the picture of the colored hand. So the branding is consistent and they're recognized everywhere. So just because you're not a large company like Ford with a professional branding team doesn't mean you as a small organization can't do the same thing. You want to be consistent. So for example, this is a client of ours, a pediatric dentist. This is their email newsletter that we create for them once a month. And it's based on the design of their website, which we happen to also have built, right? So it just comes across great. And when we design the emails, for example, we put in there the menu bar from the website directly in the email. So it makes it very easy for people to click on doctors or their office policies or so on. One of the goals of email marketing is to drive people to your website. That's one of the main goals you want to achieve. So then when the email goes out, it comes across as clean and professional and completely branded for consistency. There are different types of email messages you can send out. It can be an email newsletter, allows you to stay top of mind, usually monthly, some good solid content, again, to remind people of the organization, to keep you top of mind. Then you have an announcement, usually for something more important. Maybe you have a special event going on, maybe you have a new team member, maybe a new product is introduced, and that's where an announcement can come into play. And then finally, a promotion. It can be both for B2B or B2C, when business is slow or you need to create some excitement. Offering a coupon or some kind of a promotion does generate sales. So that's one thing to keep in mind. So don't think as emails as, oh, they're just all newsletters or just coupons to drive traffic, but there are all different options available. And these can also a little bit be intermingled. So different ways that this can be used based on what your goals are when you're communicating via email. Then you need to get your email opened. So you got the list, the content, it looks great, it's fully branded, you have all the pictures. You click send and you have your fingers crossed that the email will be opened. So how do you get your email open, right? There are three things that you can do to get your email open, and these have a direct impact on the open rate. The first one is, who is it from? The second thing is, what's the subject line? Why should I open this email? And the third one is the timing. When is the email being sent, right? So let's get into these. Who sent it? So it's a question of how people know you best, right? So for example, when you're on social media, do you present yourself as the person or as the company? So you want to be consistent with that also in the from field of your emails, right? So for example, in our case, my name is David Fischer, and the company name is Solutions for Growth. Some people know my name, other people don't, they just know the company name. So our from field says Solutions for Growth - David Fischer. So there's a 50-50 chance that at least they recognize one or the other. So in your case, make sure that the email is coming from a name of a person or a company that's really recognizable so that there's a higher chance that the email will get opened. There's a funny story where there was a large car company that sent out an email to millions of people, and the email came, I forget the person's name, from Mary Ross, for example, who was a senior executive vice president of marketing, very senior level person, but nobody knew on the consumer level who this person was. The from field wasn't Ford Motor Company, but it was the person's name. So that enormously depressed the open rate. So that was a big lesson to learn to make sure that the from field is recognizable. And then the subject line. The subject line needs to answer the question, why should I open the email? So there are three subject lines there on the screen that are kind of ho-hum. The first one is March newsletter. So I know it's March, and I know it's a newsletter, but it's not telling me why I should open it, right? I'm willing to bet that next month the subject line is going to be April newsletter. So what if the subject line from a nonprofit was, tomorrow we need 3 hammers, can you help? So it's a little bit of humor, but it's telling you exactly what the email is about, that they need some volunteers to come tomorrow with some tools to do something, right? So big difference between those two open rates. Joe's Pet Store newsletter. So I already told you what I thought about putting the word newsletter in the subject line. It's as if the New York Times on the top of the newspaper said newspaper. And if Joe was really good at his email marketing, he would not put his company name in the subject line because it's redundant. His company name should be in the from field. So instead of that, if he put alert, help your dog beat the heat. So now I'm a dog lover, get this email, oh wow, there's something of value here. I'm going to be educated on how to make sure my dog doesn't overheat in the middle of August. Children's classes. This is coming from a company that offers children's classes. And I like the funny analogies. It's as if the butcher sent out an email and the top of the subject line said meat. Yes, we know what they're offering. But what if there was still time, some openings available? Okay? So what you're doing here is creating a sense of urgency and scarcity, which are two important marketing concepts, to get people to take action. And I'm going to have to open this email because I want little Jimmy to be able to get into the class. So we give a huge amount of thought to the subject lines of the emails that we create for our clients because the subject line is such a huge driver of open rate. The children's classes could get a 10% open rate. A great subject line could almost double that. So give a lot of thought to the subject line when you're creating it. And we're going to take a break now because we have a raffle. There's a book here called The Wisdom of Our Peers. It's a great marketing book. And if you put a business card in here and then return the bag to me, then you might well go home with a here you go, with a book. So moving on. What about spam? I invariably get a question about, I want to make sure that my emails don't end up in spam. So maybe 8-10 years ago, when email marketing was a little bit in its infancy, if you had any of those words in the subject line, or many of these words in the body of the email, there would be the assumption that, that's going to end up in spam. But at the time, spam filters were very basic, very, very elementary, and that was true. But today, spam filters are much more sophisticated and really know whether an email is about spam, is spammy or not. And that is a way, so you can still have the word urgent or free in your subject line, and it will not end up in spam. And in fact, if you think about your inbox or your spam filter, you get far, far less spam today than you did in the past, right? But still, there's the human perception of the spam aspect. So here are some basic rules you want to follow when you are creating the subject lines. Don't put them all in caps. Don't create these funny things like that. It just makes the email look cheaper and you're taken less serious. So these are some things to keep in mind when you're creating your subject line. Time. So these important things. Keep your promise you made. So for example, if the company tells you that you're going to get a monthly email, don't send it every week. Send it once a month. That's the promise that you made, right? You want to coordinate your timing across channels. Companies typically that have a pretty buttoned up marketing plan will have special offers or promotions or so on that across different channels. So something that appears on your website, you want to make sure it appears also in your email message and on social media. So you want to coordinate all of this. And just because it's urgent for you, it doesn't mean it's necessarily urgent for your customers. So don't be so happy to send an email when maybe it's not necessarily the right time of the right week, day of the week, for example. But the time of the day and the day of the week is really important. So, and I'll explain this with an example. So a client of ours sells vegetable seeds, the kind of seeds that you would buy for a backyard garden. And for a while we were sending the emails midweek, midday. Because the thinking is that most people, midweek, midday, are awake and there, right? But then we ran a test, and we took the email list and split it in half, and we sent the exact same email on a Wednesday morning at 10, and it did like this. And then we sent the exact same email to the other list on a Saturday morning at 9, and it did like that. Why the difference? Why did Saturday morning do so much better than a Wednesday at 10?
People are probably thinking about gardening or.
You got it, exactly. It has to do with frame of mind. Most people on a Wednesday at 10 o'clock are at work, and they are in work mode, right? Not thinking about tomato seeds. Most people on a Saturday morning are at home at 9 o'clock with a cup of coffee, with a different frame of mind, more open to learning about the latest tomato seeds that are available for sale. So it really depends on your organization and what information you're sending to whom. And you want to make sure that you capture them at the best time for them to be interested in what you have to offer. So the example of the tomato seeds is great because it's really a leisure activity for most people, right? But if you're selling business services, maybe Saturday morning is not the best time, maybe during the week it's better. What we find is that the best open rates for B2B, for example, are early morning, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Obviously not Monday morning for obvious reasons, and not Friday afternoon. So if you're selling business services, sending an email at 7:30 or at 8 o'clock in the morning will get you the highest open rate. People are looking at their inbox, they're fresh, their day hasn't started, so you have a better chance of getting a higher open rate. Another study I've read is that if you want to reach senior level executives in companies, Sunday at 6 o'clock in the evening is a good time. Why? Because these people are getting ready for Monday morning, and they're looking at their inbox Sunday evening before the Monday morning rush. And if you send something at 6 o'clock in the evening, you're going to be at the top of the inbox with a higher chance of getting opened. Again, there's no perfect answer. Every organization is different. So what you might want to do is test. Send an email on a Sunday evening, try it on a Tuesday morning, play around with it and see whether whether it has an impact or not. It may not. If your market is virtually anybody and there's no real exact demographic, it almost doesn't matter. But you owe it to yourself not to send the email, for example, oh, we send our emails only Tuesdays at 7 o'clock. But if Tuesday's my day off, I'm not going to see your email until maybe Thursday, right? So think about that and be sensitive to the frame of mind of your market when you're sending the email. Social media. Okay, so social media is a crucial marketing tool today. Here's a great statistic that says that when you combine email marketing with social media, it increases the effectiveness of the email by 158%. That's a pretty big number. And email and social media have a fantastic synergy, and I'll explain to you why. So you create an email, and you post it on social media. So every email that you create through Constant Contact, for example, can be posted on any social media network. If you're really good at your email marketing, in the email, you will put a button that says, join my list. So you're probably thinking, why would I put a button that says, join my list in an email to people whose email address I have already? That's because you never know where that email will end up. And here's the example. You create the email, you post it on Facebook, and people will see it who are not on your email list. Through the beauty of Facebook, people will engage, meaning like, comment, or share that email, and their friends will see it. And here is a great article on tomato seeds. Oh, I didn't know tomato seeds should be planted early in the morning. I don't know, something like that. What an interesting company. Look, there's a join my list on their email. So you click on it, and that's how organically the vegetable seed company collects a new subscriber. So this social media amplifies your email and drives traffic right back to your website or your list or to your email account. So all of these things are kind of interconnected and allow you to grow your list organically and make sure that your list grows. Something to keep in mind is that about 20% of the US population changes their email address every year, mostly driven by people changing jobs. Because if today you're company ABC and tomorrow you're company XYZ, you're going to change your email address. So particularly in the B2B world, you need to be maintaining and growing your email list. Otherwise, after 5 years, 20% a year, your email list will be almost zero. It's a process called data hygiene. It's a funny name, but you need to be maintaining your list on a regular basis. Again, a teaser. We're almost there. Tracking your results. Okay, so I mentioned earlier that anything you do online, you need to be able to track to make sure that the time, effort, and money that you put into it really is paying off. Otherwise, you go in the dark, because if you run a marketing campaign and you don't know how it performed, it's like driving blindfolded, right? So let's talk about what the various metrics mean, how you take decisions, and what the click-through is. The click-through is the actual click that leads someone from an email to usually a website. So these are what I call the 3 positive numbers. The open rate. What percentage of people opened the email? That's a primary driver of success of the program. The click-through rate. Of the people who opened the email, what percentage actually clicked on a link that led them to either a social media page or a website or something else? And the shares. One of the goals of email marketing is for people to share the email either through social media or by forwarding the email. Okay? So here, the higher the number, the better it is. These are all the positive numbers. But then part of marketing is to figure out, did people unsubscribe? So opt out or unsubscribe is a synonym. And these are people who are saying, you know what, you're a really nice person, but I don't see value in what you're sending me. Please stop sending it to me. And when you use an email service provider, there's an unsubscribe button, and you click it once, and you are unsubscribed. You will not get their email anymore. This happens when either you're sending too frequently or there is no value in the email. And people are saying, no thanks. The bounce rate is the percentage of emails that are bouncing, meaning they're not being delivered either because the email address is incorrect, that email address no longer works, or there's a technical issue that's preventing the email from being delivered. Those 2 numbers, smaller is better, right? Here you want to be at less than 1%. The bounce rate, you want to be at less than 3%. Any questions on this? So here's an example of a report that we provide our clients. So this is tables and charts that show how an email performed compared to prior ones. So for example, here we show the past 4 emails, the sends, the opens, and the close, and then there's a table that shows how they compared one from the other. So this one was an 18% open rate, 23, 22, 20, and we look very carefully what moved the needle. Was it the subject line? Was it the pictures in there? And then we provide actually the name of the people who opened and clicked with that email. And our clients love it because then they can use this as a sales tool. So they can see that Steve opened the email at a certain time, and if there's been an ongoing conversation with Steve about buying chairs for the library, for example, you might want to call up Steve and say, well, you don't want to say, I know you clicked on that link. That's a little creepy, but you know that Steve clicked on the link, right? And he thought about the chairs because he engaged with your email. So you can say something like, hey, Steve, just wanted to follow up with a conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about the chairs. Just wondering if you had a chance to think about it. And you know that yesterday he did, right? So that's a way to take your email list and sort it or rank it by propensity to buy or interest. So now you're ranking your customers in terms of who is most likely going to buy from you. Okay? So here's the data that proves that the email marketing is working for you or not. But generally, it's mostly success stories. I'm going to spend a moment talking about automation and what that means in terms of email marketing. Okay? So there's something called an autoresponder. An autoresponder is an email that is pre-written and is sent automatically when an email address is added to a list. Very cool graphic, right? So the person comes to the store and they're making a transaction, they collect the email address, and when that email address is added to the account, the person right away gets, excuse me, a welcome email with a special offer to drive the person back to the store. There are 4 different ways that an autoresponder is triggered. A person is added to a list, There's a birthday or anniversary event. As silly as it is, birthday emails have the highest open rates out there because we all love to hear a happy birthday when it's our birthday. From a commercial perspective, it does drive business. And then when there's a series of emails, let's say there's 6 emails in the autoresponder, a certain number of days after each email, the next one is sent. And the beauty of this is that you set it up once and it runs on its own. It's auto-responding. It's a very smart way to create things that would normally happen on a regular basis to run automatically. Very smart approach, okay? And the results from these autoresponders are very high. Look at these types of increases in performance based on autoresponders that are in interest and engaging to people. I'm going to show you some samples of real emails that we create for our clients that's going to kind of reflect what we spoke about now. Okay? So, for example, this is for a Broadway breakthrough. If you could just take one and pass it to the others, please. This is a camp for teenagers who are going to go on Broadway or theater. And first of all the emails you're going to see are fully branded to match the client's website. They have a very edgy website. It's black and gray. So if you were 16 years old and you were into Broadway and theater, and it says it's not too late to have the best summer of your life, register before it's too late, and there's a big video there, it's irresistible not to click on that, right? So the engagement is very high. And this continues, and it discusses the various camps that they have coming up this summer. Very different. This is from an attorney. She's in Denver, and her expertise is law in Colorado. So she sends this email out to all of her clients and referring parties, other professionals who refer business to her. And the goal here is to show her expertise in terms of her knowledge of laws in Colorado, okay? Fully branded with her website. Again, a very different business. This is Claudia. She does hand-knit yarn. Visually, her business is very important, so we have big pictures. And the goal here is to get people to her website through the menu bar at the top. Also here, visit our website. That's the call to action above the fold. Visit the website, so there's a higher likelihood that the customer is going to buy something. Very different. This is a skincare store. Very different design, very clean and simple. And the email is not saying, buy our products, but rather she's presenting information about what you should do to take care of your skin in summer. She's coming across as an expert so that there's the understanding that she's an expert and she has the best advice to make sure that you have the right skin and it's protected during the summer. Again, skincare, but very different one. This is a doctor, and he is offering $50 off Botox. So again, these look very different based on the company and the look and feel and the subjective choice of the client. For some clients, this is beautiful. For other clients say, I wouldn't dream of sending out an email like that, right? So it depends on your business. I like this one. This is for a company that does commercial interior design. And once a month, we send out an email for them. And we always talk about one product. This particular email talks about these panels that go on the walls. They're sound absorbing and they look pretty cool. Obviously, it's personalized. I'm going to show you the rest now. Very short article that ends like that, really short. But the goal is not necessarily to sell these particular panels. But Ken tells me that every month he gets phone calls because people say, oh, Ken, I got your email. I meant to call you about the curtains, right? It's a way for him to knock on people's doors on a regular basis and say, hey, this is Ken. Please keep me in mind. This is my expertise. How can I help you, right? So that's how these work. Small business marketing, if you follow the common thread here, is about nurturing relationships. This is based on sending emails to people who know your company, who opted into receiving information, and therefore there's a connection between the two. And by doing that, you get measurable results, okay? So as a small organization, as opposed to Ford Motor Company, for example, you have this human connection with people. So if you're not doing email marketing, it's very simple to get your email list together, start creating an email, and hit send. And it's amazing what happens, especially with companies that are doing it for the first time. The feedback is great because they get, oh, I just got your email. It looks so great. Thank you for thinking of me. People sometimes thinking they're the only ones who received it. It's very exciting. So it's just something to consider if you're not doing any email marketing today. So I told you that if you learn something and you take no action, it's a kind of a missed opportunity. So here's the special offer I was going to tell you about. But before going there, I'm going to have you pick the winner of the book. And the winner is Francis Travel. That's you? Great. So you get to go home with a book. Congratulations. Here you go.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So here is the special offer. But first, you have to think about a company's journey is you have forks in the road. You can go to the left, do nothing, and nothing will change in your organization. If you want something to change in your organization, you need to change the marketing. Or you can go to the right and embrace change, and your business will grow, right? So here's the opportunity to take a decision. You have 3 offers, and the first one is to open up a free Constant Contact account for 60 days, and you get to work with one of their coaches to really develop a great email marketing program. The second option is to get a paid account right away, and you get a free website match on your account, so you get your template to match your website. And then if you have an account, I offer a free account review of your Constant Contact to make sure that you're meeting email marketing best practices and find ways that you can improve your account. And of course, there's also a full service program that we offer our clients. So you'll have a sheet if you'd like to fill it out. You're welcome to do that. I'm open to questions you may have on anything that we spoke here today about email marketing, your impressions, your concerns, anything that you walked in here that you wanted answered that we didn't address. Or maybe answered all your questions. Are any of you doing email marketing today? I know you are. We spoke about it earlier. You just started. Francis, you're not? Well, you're in the travel business, so that might be a great way to remind people about what they're missing by not going on the next cruise.
Exactly.
And it's such a visual business, the travel business as well. So there are great opportunities. You can put videos in the emails. So that is a great idea of something that you can do. Okay, great. So I want to thank the library again for hosting us here. The Trumbull Library was nice to have them. Good, nice big screen. And thank you very much for spending a little bit of time this evening to come here and learn about email marketing. And hopefully you walk away with a couple of ideas that get your marketing to work even better.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you.